the Mahindra Thar Roxx, the bigger 5-door version of the Thar that we know and love. But it is not just a bigger Thar, it has a lot more to it. And while Mahindra might not have got the name exactly spot on, they have got something else nailed very properly. What is that? Well, now you'll have to wait a little bit longer for me to answer that question specifically, but let me first tell you what you get on the outside and how it is different from the regular Thar. Well, first of all, you can see that the grille here is different. You get these 6 slats. I have mixed opinions about it. It looks big and butch, but I'm not sure if it was the perfect design. Then you have these LED projector headlamps with this C-shaped LED DRLs. Those definitely look good and are an upgrade over what we get in the Thar. And then you have the bumper, which is reminiscent of what we have seen earlier, but it has just been restyled a little bit to give it a bit more edge to make it look a little bit sharper. Now, over on the side, I must mention that because this is the 5-door version, it has been extended, and primarily you have a 400 mm longer wheelbase and about 440 mm longer overall length. The width has increased by about 50 mm, while the height is about 60 to 70 mm more than the regular Thar. And all of this results in more space, which I will show you later on. But here on the outside, you can see these smart machined 19-inch alloy wheels. This is a new design, and you get 18-inch options as well in the lower trims, but the top trim gets these bigger 19-inch wheels. Then moving back, you have obviously the party piece, the extra pair of doors, and the handle is situated over here to give it a little bit of pizzazz. And even the design over here has been intentionally kept like this to give it a distinctive design from the side. It also has these illustrations which we've seen in Tata vehicles and in Jeep vehicles. So you have a Thar, you have a camel and a cactus, and then the same Easter egg element is seen over here as well. You have that camel and the Mahindra Thar. The tail lamp unit, you get the similar rectangular unit, but it has a different light element. You have that C-shaped motif once again appearing over here, and I think this looks quite a lot better. And the rest of the proportions, well, they're boxy, they're pretty simple, as an SUV should be. And then you have this split tailgate, which you can open up, pretty cool in my opinion, to reveal this bigger boot space of about 644 liters. You can see right now we just have 2 bags and there is plenty of space. What you can also do is recline the seats a little further, and then you have a little more space, and you can even fold them down for a whole lot more space. So the additional wheelbase and length have contributed to a much larger and much more usable boot space, making this a more practical SUV for daily use and even for weekend getaways. And now let's talk about the interior experience of the Thar Roxx. And while the dashboard might look very familiar, there is a lot more that is new over here, and the biggest change has to be this big 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment system. It comes with both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity, and the touch response is also very fluid. It's smooth. There are a lot of options that you can go through. There is a whole off-road menu which shows your G-forces, and there is a lap timer, so there is a lot that you can delve into. Even the multi-information display over here is fully colored. It's a 10.25-inch unit, and these two combined make the Thar look a lot more modern and tech-laden. It does not look like that rudimentary utilitarian SUV like the 3-door sometimes does look. And you also have a wireless charging pad. You have a USB Type-A, Type-C charging port. The AC controls are similar to what you get in the normal Thar, but yes, you have automatic air conditioning. There are 2 cup holders over here. You have an electronic parking brake, and you also get this nice armrest, which is a little bit unique. Of course, you can open it to reveal a small storage area, but you can also slide just the driver's side for a little bit more adjustability. Yes, if the passenger side was also adjustable, it would have been better, but at least the driver's side is adjustable, so that is good. The driver's seat itself is power adjustable, as you can see right now, so that adds to your driving convenience. And the front seats are also ventilated, which is a nice addition for those summer drives. There is a lot of soft touch material on the top of the dashboard, and even here you have certain piano black finishes, so it just looks a lot more upmarket. And then you have this leatherette upholstery on the seats, which looks bright. It makes the cabin look airy, but it is also susceptible to stains and dirt marks. Now, we've been driving this since about midday, and while we haven't done anything too crazy, it has still picked up a few stains here and there. Yes, you can easily wipe it off, but you will have to be a little more careful if you go for the Thar Roxx. And then elaborating more on the features, you also get a 360-degree camera, which is very helpful, especially if you're off-roading. There are certain modes which make the car invisible so that you can see the obstacles underneath the car that help you place the car really well. You also have a Harman Kardon sound system, and the sound system is a big upgrade over what the Thar used to get. There is also an auto-dimming IRVM in this top-of-the-line variant, again a nice and intuitive feature. Plus you get level 2 ADAS features, so this has cameras and sensors all around, and you get 10 ADAS enabled features including lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, auto braking. So it is a very loaded SUV now. And now let's talk about the second row seating, but before that let me show you the doors, which are 90-degree opening doors, which means that you have ease of ingress. Plus you have this grab handle over here. You can step on the plate over here and easily get inside and close the doors. And you also have power window controls right over here, so that is also good for convenience. There is a small area here to keep something small. You cannot keep a water bottle there, so maybe your phone or any small item you can put over there. Coming to the space, well, you can see my height is 6 feet. The driver's seat has been set according to my preference, and I still have good amount of knee room. The leg room is also pretty decent. The under thigh support is okay, and there is a good amount of headroom as well. Plus, because of the panoramic sunroof, I can open it and get a very nice view. This Mahindra claims is the largest in the segment, and it is pretty huge and gives you a good view of the outside. The seats themselves are plenty comfortable, and what I really like is that you can adjust them to be reclined further back, or if you want you can get them like this, which is not very comfortable, but it'll help you with the boot space. But yeah, you can recline it and find a very comfortable position. There is an armrest this time around with 2 cup holders for again added convenience. And if I close this, I can also show you that the center floor console is obviously flat. You have rear AC vents, you have a Type-C charging port, and a small cavity where you can again perhaps keep your smartphone while it is charging over there. So overall, the second row space is quite luxurious. It feels airy because of this color scheme. That is one upside of this color tone, and you have a good amount of features. Maybe a little more storage spaces would have made it a little more practical, but that is just me nitpicking at this point of time. So what kind of powertrain options do you get with Thar Roxx? Well, you have 2 engine options and 2 gearbox options. You have a 2-liter turbo petrol and a 2.2-liter diesel. Both get the option of being paired with either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic. What we are driving today is the diesel with the manual gearbox. And I must also tell you that there are 2 different configurations, 2 different states of tune for both the engines. One is the lower output one, which is reserved for the lower variants, and then you have the fully fledged 2.2-liter diesel. Same is for the 2-liter petrol as well. When you are on the move, this engine, while it has plenty of grunt, definitely for highway speeds and for pulling through even with 2-3 passengers inside, but what I really appreciated was the amount of torque available low down. Even in 3rd and 4th gear, you can do some really slow speeds. Maybe you're driving in traffic and you have come down to a very low speed of 20 or 30 kilometers per hour, but you don't need to shift down. The SUV just complies. The engine just works so well in that regard. And This diesel is also pretty smooth. The NVH levels in general are very good inside the cabin, but the diesel engine also does not make a whole lot of noise unless and until you go beyond 3,500 RPM, and there are little to no vibrations to speak of. So that way, Mahindra has got a very nice engine which is smooth and very fun to drive as well. Yes, it's not the quickest in the segment. However, Mahindra claims that this can do a 0 to 60 sprint in just 4.8 seconds. And then you have this 6-speed manual gearbox. And I was surprised because the gear shifts are so easy. You can easily slot in any gear. The clutch, it's a little bit heavy, but it's not something that you cannot operate on a regular basis. So this manual transmission does not feel cumbersome to work with. It is very smooth, it is very slick, so you will really like it. What I did not enjoy as much, at least on the road, was the suspension setup. Not that it's bad in the sense that it is uncomfortable, but it is a little bit too soft, which results in a very bouncy ride. Especially if you're going over expansion joints or speed breakers, you will be thrown around a little bit. Yes, this might be really good in off-road situations, which we could not properly test today, but out on the road, this is not the most confidence-inspiring suspension setup, I would say, especially at higher speeds. When you brake, you will feel the SUV rock, and when you are giving it the steering inputs, again, you have to be a little careful with your inputs. This is an electronically assisted steering wheel, and while it is very light to use, I've had no issues in terms of putting too much effort to move it around, but it is a little bit vague, especially at higher speeds. You need to make minor corrections as you are going around bends. I also observed that the ADAS features are a bit too sensitive. Yes, you can tweak the level of sensitivity a little bit, but I think in the default setting, which is the middle level setting, it is still a little bit too finicky. Coming to the off-road capabilities, well, you have multiple terrain modes that you get with the Thar Roxx, and on top of that, Mahindra has also added some really cool features to aid your off-roading endeavors. One of them is a feature which essentially locks the inside wheel while you're taking a very tight turn on an off-road course, and maybe you're doing 5 to 10 kilometers an hour. So it'll lock the inside front wheel, which allows the SUV to turn in a much more confined space. And then you have a kind of cruise control, but for off-roading. It's basically a crawl feature, and once again, if you are on an off-road trail and you're doing very low speeds, then you can use that mode. And what the Thar Roxx does is it takes care of the acceleration input, of the braking, of the traction control levels. So all you have to do is just make sure that the steering wheel is pointing in the right direction. And so we've come to the end of the video, and I think now it's time I should tell you what was that point I was talking about. You see, with the popularity of SUVs, most of the car makers, what they do is they take a road-friendly, essentially a hatchback, and then try to give it that SUV body style and a bit of those design cues to sell it off as an SUV, and enthusiasts like us have always had a problem with that. But what Mahindra has done, they've taken the opposite approach. They had a very capable SUV, an off-road machine in the Thar, and they decided, let's make it a little more practical so that more people can adopt it, more people can use it for their daily commutes, and when the weekend comes, they can go trail hunting as well. That is what the Thar Roxx is, and it does so brilliantly. Part of that reason is also because Mahindra has priced the variants so attractively. The base model costs about 12.99 lakh ex-showroom, that is the petrol model with the two-wheel drive, while the top-end AX7 model starts from 18.99 lakh. If you compare to the three-door Thar, the base model is a little over 1.5 lakh rupees more, and for that amount of price, you get a lot more space, you get a lot more features, because even the MX-1 has a lot of kit on offer. This fully loaded variant, of course, has us very impressed, because if you always wanted that off-road machine, but maybe your family was a little hesitant in pulling the trigger because they thought they would not be as comfortable and as cocooned in it, well, those worries are gone. Perhaps my only big complaint would be with the suspension, which does not feel as put together as the rest of the SUV. But barring that, this is a pretty good package. So that was a quick first drive impression of the Mahindra Thar Roxx. I am definitely looking forward to driving this for a much longer period and putting it through a proper off-road test to see how capable it is. If you are interested in the same, then make sure that you subscribe to our video so that whenever we drop that video, which will happen, you are notified about it. If you like this review, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below if you have any questions, and as always, ensure that you follow all the traffic rules when you are out on the road. This is Akash Paul signing off for now. Bye bye.